Traditional markets could not sustain any kind of a bounce or rally into the end of the year, as we have a few minutes left till the close of trading today as I am filming this, and the cryptocurrency altcoin market is looking to make a round trip. So let's take a look at the charts and the news and see what I'm talking about. Right now, the Dow is down about 0.52, S&P down 0.68, NASDAQ down 0.71, and trimming a little bit of the losses into the close here. So we'll see how markets close going into the end of the year, and putting off any hopes for an end of the year rally. Had a nice little bounce yesterday, but the markets could not sustain going into today. The interesting thing is the dollar is down along with markets, and the 10-year is kind of holding up. So we'll take a look at all that right now. But a couple of things in the news: Trump's tax returns have been released, so we'll see what develops out of that. Solana slide accelerates on the one hand. On the other hand, Solana soars. So CNBC can't seem to keep up with what's going on in the crypto market. Interesting there. No major news as the markets wind down till going into the end of the year. Let's take a look at the charts and see what the setup looks like. The Dow continuing to find support on this trend line and potentially work its way down. Had a little bit of a bounce yesterday, but just reversed it, kind of like it's been doing in this little area of consolidation. The question is, will there be any kind of a bounce before continuing to the downside to work its way to test these October lows? And we are going to have to wait to find that out. Same thing with the NASDAQ. Had a nice little bounce yesterday, but could not maintain that momentum. And the S&P, same thing, continuing to stay under the major trend lines. And we see the VIX kind of consolidating here, looking for a little bit of action there to the upside at some point, which means market sell-off when that explodes to the upside. The dollar having a little bit of a drop today as the markets are down, kind of interesting, but the 10-year maintaining a little bit of momentum here, kind of consolidating. Will the 10-year shoot back up into the fours and put more pressure on the credit markets, commercial real estate? There's a lot of action and activity out there right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I'm talking about round trip. Here is the total altcoin market with Ethereum. And what I mean by round trip is right back here into this 2020 consolidation before the breakout and before the rocket fuel was injected into the markets. Here's the total three without Ethereum. And let's take a look at Bitcoin. So what is round trip for Bitcoin? It would be in this area around $10,000, where Bitcoin kind of found the bulk of its consolidation before the breakout into the April 2021 high. And then, of course, the November 2021 high, reaching a low at 3,500 twice, once after the 2017, 2018 bull market. It consolidated in that, around $3,000 to $5,000 range, but more, let's just take a closer look, more in that $3,000 to $4,000 range for a little while. And what was that time frame? We're on the daily here. So that was basically from November 2018 till March 2019. So several months, 300 days, almost a year consolidating, or not 300 days, I'm sorry. It was basically 128 days. So, basically 4 months in this area here before breaking out and then ultimately rolling over again, going into the March 2020 low, which brought Bitcoin down to about $3,800. So the question is, well, this overall consolidation, let's see how many days that was from the final capitulation bottom until the breakout right here on September the 20th was basically 2 years. So from Wednesday, December 12th, 2018 until Tuesday, September 18th of 2020, before this final journey to this parabolic top right here. That was the major area of consolidation and accumulation for Bitcoin. So that was 633 days that took place. And right now, if you want to say this area was kind of it, although we haven't hit the final bottom yet, but it's been consolidating in this area for quite some time. Basically, the bottom was that June 22 low to December, so 6 months. So price could continue to consolidate in this area, work its way down like it's been doing to the next level. Ultimately, a round trip would be to that $10,000 range. If any incidents happen, pop down to 3,000 or 4,000, pop back up. So it could kind of range in that area for a while, just like it did back in these time frames here. with highs in the $7,000 to $10,000 range, all the way up to $13,000, $14,000, and then dropping back down with the pandemic. But ultimately, the low of that range was about 6,700 once it came off that bottom. Ethereum, round trip for Ethereum would be around $300, $200 to $300, somewhere in that range. A low in those areas where it's about $100. And, you know, it looks like that it's highly probabilistic that Ethereum and all the other major altcoins are going to return to those 2020 levels to consolidate before any kind of a future run. That puts Cardano at about 5 cents. That puts Solana at around anywhere from $1, basically where it started. $1 to $2 is where it accumulated before it went on the run, ultimately hitting 200 and something. Matic in accumulation zone of around, 10 cents, somewhere around there. Polkadot, but you can just go on and look at all of the altcoins, and pretty much the story is the same. Basically, going back to those 2020 accumulation lows for the coins that were around during that time frame is kind of what I am potentially, well, listen, it's what looks most likely and probable given the environment that we're in right now, with the Fed tightening, lack of liquidity, a lot of the venture capital and investment funds and hedge funds that are out of the space now, that got blown up with FTX and with Celsius and things like that, that were kind of driving and pumping the market into these highs here. And that's where it came from. So in order to have any kind of a pump like we had last time to these levels like we've seen, you've got to have a lot of capital coming into the market. And a lot of that capital was printed out of thin air, as we've come to find out. Some of it was zero interest money that was injected. The other thing that's interesting too is the Bitcoin. A lot of Bitcoin miners are under pressure. So we'll have to see what that looks like, how that industry shakes out, see if there's going to be some consolidation. The bulk of the mining is in the hands of a few major operators. So that space could consolidate and become more potentially centralized as miners continue to come under pressure as Bitcoin falls, especially if it falls down to that $10,000, $3,500 to $10,000 level for any significant length of time. And so it'll be interesting to watch how that all works out. So these are the things that I'm looking at. The markets are closed on Monday, have a 4-day week next week. So we will see if we get any kind of a bounce before continuation to the lows. And then we're going to start facing earnings season, inflation conversation reports, and then recession watch. So that's what's on tap for January. Until then, I hope you have a happy new year, and I will see you on the next video.